guys, please ignore the noise in the background. Phoebe is eating her food, so at least she won't be barging in, which, I mean, is it bad for you guys, but it's good for me because it's so hot in this room. Anyway, today we're talking about Joe Jonas again and Sophie Turner because there's more updates and I'm starting to really hate this man and he's ruining like my Disney Channel experience because I actually really liked like Camp Rock and all that good stuff. So I'm starting to get really off because I'm like, why are you ruining this for me? Like, I just don't really get it. Anyway, so we have a few updates. And if you guys don't know what was going on, Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner have been married for a few years. They have 2 daughters together, one pretty recent from last year and one a little bit older. And they've never shown them to the public eye. So that's kind of like an important point that I'm trying to make. Also, Sophie is quite a bit younger than Joe Jonas. Let me actually check, confirm the ages. Joe Jonas age. Joe Jonas is 34. And Sophie Turner is 27, so there's a 7-year gap between them, and they've been dating since she was 20 and he was 27. I feel like 27 and 20, obviously it's legal, it's fully, you know, allowed. But will that relationship work out long term? It depends. I think one person's already past their like early 20s stage, obviously, for obvious mathematical reasons. You're 27. I feel like once you hit mid-20s, you kind of slow down. You don't want to do as much, you don't want to go out as much. Whereas if you're 20, like, you're at uni still. If you're just like a regular schmegular person, you're at uni. Like, you're still living life, you're clubbing every day, if that's the lifestyle you want to live. With them though, it was a bit different. Joe Jonas was apparently the like social butterfly and she wanted to stay at home all day, which we did find out from some interviews that they did during the pandemic, that the pandemic was actually really nice for her because she just got to like walk her dog and stay at home. Whereas Joe Jonas was really kind of going through it because he wanted to socialize.
Very, very safe, very, very quarantined, kind of loving it.
I mean, obviously this is, you know, a lot of bad news out there, but you like this business of staying home, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an introvert. I'm a homebody. I just like, I if I could stay at home all day, I would. So this is great for me. I leave the house like once a day anyway to walk my dogs, and then that's it. So
nice. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how people are. I see how people are finding it difficult, but I don't understand how people are really struggling to practice social distancing.
Right.
I'm like, all you have to do is stay at home and like get drunk at home. It's great.
No, wait a minute. I've been listening to Dr. Fauci on CNN and nowhere does he ever say, just get drunk at home.
Yeah, but you know he's thinking it. And you know he's doing the same thing.
Yeah, half the time I see him on television, he seems tipsy.
Yeah, that face palm.
Yeah.
The behind Trump face palm, he was drunk.
Do you like the fact that, I mean, you've been on my show many times. You're always very beautifully dressed. This is a real change for you. You look gorgeous, but you can kind of just wear anything. Do you like this?
I love this. This is great, isn't it? Like, you don't have to get dressed up. I'm wearing my sweatpants.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm business on top, party on the bottom. It's great.
I'm reading in the paper that couples are having a hard time being quarantined together. How are you and Joe getting along?
Yeah, I heard the divorce rates are up.
Yeah.
Joe and I, it's actually kind of, everything seems to be working out in my favor here because Joe's like he's a real social butterfly. So I struggle to kind of lock him down and have him just spend time with me. So it's like prison for him, but it's great for me.
But now they've announced that they're divorcing, right? They put out little cute statements together. Oh, give us privacy, blah, blah, blah. However, Joe Jonas has been planting evidence, and I know this for a fact. However, don't sue me. It seems like whenever there was a source, like for a bit, page 6, I think it was like 5 days, page 6 was just posting all of these sources from Joe Jonas about how Sophie is just like this wild child and she just wants to live out her like early 20s that she missed out on, and she's going out and she's drinking, she's doing this. But all of it was painting her in a bad light that was actually quite inaccurate and out of context. For example, there was a thing of her like taking shots in the UK because she's in the UK filming right now, whereas Joe Jonas is on tour and the daughters are in LA or in the States and she's in the UK right now. She wrapped up and she just had like one celebration. They closed down a pub just to have like their own personal party. She took a few shots, that was it. Even the like pub owner came out and said no, she like wasn't like very wild. They just took like a nice shot together just to be like, celebration, good times, come on. But they made it sound like she's a wild child, and just after finding the divorce, she's like going crazy and drinking out with men. Whereas Joe Jonas is posting these sources of him hanging out with his daughters and just grabbing some lunch. But the paparazzi that are seeing pictures of him with his daughters, it's paparazzi that usually call on yourself. And they've never shown these girls before, so their face is just out there now, just so that Joe Jonas can have something to use against his ex-wife in a divorce. It's honestly disgusting. It's disgusting. So Page Six for a bit was reporting all these sources from Joe Jonas, how Sophie's a wild child and she just wants to be in the UK and she wants to be, you know, partying and doing all this stuff, but he's just this good dad and he's just focusing on fatherhood. However, at some point, the tide turned with the audience. We were all like, are we supposed to believe this crap? Like, are we supposed to be on board with Joe Jonas acting like the way he's acting? Because we're not on board. Like, we're absolutely not on board. And the fact that he's weaponizing his children in a divorce is like the most toxic thing. Even if you're not a celebrity and you're just going through a regular schmegular divorce, if you're weaponizing your children, like, get a life. Get a life. What are you doing? Because your children are going to look back on that. And like, when you're just a normal person, your children can like look for court records, I guess, or like, I don't know, figure out the tea from the family, which is one thing, and it already hurts enough if they do. But when you're a celebrity, all of that is just out on the internet. Do you want your daughters to look back on it and be like, oh, our dad was planting evidence to make our mum look crazy so that he could get like custody of us? That's insane. It's insane. Insane. Anyway, so the audience, us, we all realized what they were doing, and Page Six all of a sudden, like, tune changed, and they started kind of reporting on more Sophie favored things. Like, for example, he wasn't very helpful during her postpartum. She was really struggling with the second child, and he wasn't very helpful. You got sticky mouth, you smell like bone broth. Why are your ears wet? During her postpartum, he wasn't very helpful. He was pushing her to go out when she wasn't feeling up to it. He was, you know, forcing her to go to events and socialize, and she was obviously struggling postpartum, as a lot of women do. So they definitely changed their tune kind of halfway through, because people started being like this isn't it. And I think it was Dumas that said that Page Six reports on sources. Like, it's usually what the celebrity wants you to know. So we kind of know that with Page Six, like, Joe Jonas was definitely planting all the evidence, and then a bunch of other publications started like reporting on the whole thing. So we have some new stuff. TMZ actually said, Sophie Turner, Joe is illegally keeping our kids in New York City, cites child abduction law. What? Sophie Turner is at war with Joe Jonas over their 2 kids. She says Joe is unlawfully keeping their children in New York City, and she wants them returned to England with her. Now, this is all coming out after her and Taylor Swift went out to eat, and Taylor Swift looked like she was listening very intensely at dinner. Because I don't know, Taylor Swift is also Joe Jonas's ex, so there's 2 exes hanging out and speaking and vibing. She was probably telling Taylor Swift about all of this stuff. So we thought it was going to be regular, like, tea. This is like insane. Sophie says in April 2023, the family made England their permanent home and regularly discussed their desire to raise the kids in the UK and for the kids to attend school there. She says they felt England was a safe place to raise kids, and they were both down with the plan. She had a lengthy passage in her legal documents outlining all of the activity in which the kids have engaged in England. She says, with some hesitation, she and Joe agreed the kids would stay with Joe while the Jonas bros toured the US, because she was busy shooting a very intense, time-consuming series. Sophie says that the agreement was that in September, when she finished filming, she would return to New York to collect the children and return them home to England. This past Sunday, Sophie and Joe met to talk about their separation, and she reiterated her desire to take the kids to England that week. Joe was in possession of the kids' passports and refused to return the passports to the mother, and refuses to send the children home to England with the mother. The Messenger was first to report the lawsuit. Based on Joe's alleged refusal, she filed these legal documents in federal court, citing the Hague Convention, an international treaty which deals with child abduction across country lines. This is absolutely insane. I didn't even think it was going to get to this point. What is going on? She's asking for a court order demanding that Joe produce the passports and return the kids to her. Don't forget, we reported that the 2 sold their Miami home last month, by the way. So they even have like a home, permanent home in the US. She has a home in England. And we're planning to move to England, beginning their search for a spot overseas last December, touring a couple of the spots too. So he was on board until they got divorced. And now all of a sudden he's like, no, actually you can't get the passports or the kids. Sophie argues they've been living in the UK for 5 months now, and even sold the Miami home the month before he filed. By the way, Sophie gets into why they split. She says they had an argument on August 15th and Joe filed for divorce September 1st. She found out September 5th through he didn't even tell her, through the media. She adds that they both agreed the kids would follow her to England in September, but on September 19th, Joe's attorney contacted her people and said the kids would not be returning to England. We reached out to Joe's camp, so far no word back. And then we have New York Times. Sophie Turner sues Joe Jonas to return their children to England. It's a similar thing, just a more, I guess, respectable publication. I don't know, just in case you guys needed someone to confirm it. But yeah, this is all a filed lawsuit. It's not even something that like TMZ's got from sources. Like, this is a filed lawsuit. So apparently Jeff Raymond, a representative for Jonas, said in an emailed statement that an order filed in the Florida court where the divorce proceedings were initiated restricted both parents from relocating the children. If Jonas provided Turner with the passports, the statement said he would be violating that order. So he's trying to get around it in the sense that like, because they're getting a divorce, now all of a sudden the children don't have to go to the UK, and he's seeking shared parenting with the kids so that they are raised by both their mother and the father, and is of course also okay with the kids being raised both in the US and the UK, the statement said. The children were born in the US and have spent the vast majority of their lives in the US. Apparently their marriage broke down very suddenly, according to Turner's petition, which said that she learnt that Jonas had filed for divorce from the news media. The statement from Jonas's representative denies this claim, saying that multiple conversations took place and that Sophie was aware that Joe was going to file for divorce. So apparently in July, the couple exchanged contracts with the sellers to buy a home in Oxford, England, with a planned completion date for the sale of December 2nd. So between December and like now, what has happened? Like, what is even going on? Rumors of their impending divorce started appearing in tabloids earlier this month, and seemingly negative stories about Turner were published around the time of the divorce filing. Joe has already disavowed any and all statements reportedly made on the behalf that were disparaging of Sophie, and he actually did this in one of his concerts, like closely after Page Six reporting on everything. I'm gonna play that for you guys.
If you don't hear us release this, don't do it, okay? Thank you everyone for the love and support. Me and my family need you guys.
That means nothing when like we all know that Page Six grabs sources from celebrities and they're like PR agents. So that's absolutely bonkers to me. All of this, I think they should take this off the, I'm glad she's not really saying anything at all. She's just filed a lawsuit and she's like, I want my children in England, and that's it. That's all I'm saying about that. So let me know what you guys think about any of this. I'm really starting to get like not good vibes from Joe Jonas, but that's for obvious reasons. And let me know what you guys think. Subscribe, hit the bell, like, comment for engagement, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.